Hello friends, and welcome back to my crafty space. In today's video, I am going to be story planning using the Teach Story Kit from Ali Edwards for Story Kit Crush. This kit came with so much product, and there are so many different ideas already ruminating in my head for stories to tell regarding teaching and or learning. So we've got journaling cards, chipboard pieces, puffy stickers, tiny phrase stickers, some plastic pieces, some fabric pieces, some plastic labels, some of these shiny stars, which I've already used a couple of them from the kit for a project I did. And then I also grabbed a couple of the add-ons. So I've got the pleather circles here and the plastic books. So very excited to get to work with putting some projects together. If you have not seen this kit unboxed and all of the product put out for you to see, I am actually going to link a video in the description box below that will take you to the post where Ali Edwards herself goes through this entire kit. I feel like I don't need to repeat that. I don't need to reinvent the wheel on this one, so I am just going to skip into putting together the stories. So let's get you on fast forward and let's put together some different story ideas to tell with this kit. My goal is to use up as much of this kit as I can in order to tell as many stories as feels comfortable for this month. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, friends, so I'm going to get started with my story planning here the same as I usually do, and that's by going through all of the journaling cards first, pairing together the ones that I think are going to tell a similar story, ones that can really focus on a particular story, and then we'll pull in embellishments and add those into the different piles as well. While I'm going through this process here, I do want to touch on the fact that this video is a little bit grainy because I'm actually trying out something new. So back in the month of, I want to say it was August, I actually completed my story planning process in a live streamed video through my Patreon. And what I did is I downloaded my video content and then went ahead and edited the footage, which is what you see here, and I'm voicing it over so that I can share it with all of you on YouTube as well. That's why you see my iPad there for helping me to keep up with the conversation that's happening during the live. But what I didn't realize when I was originally making this video is that when you download a live streamed content, the resolution of that video is not as good as a video taken directly from a camera or a phone. So I have since then figured out a better way to do this so that in the future I can live stream videos and then use that footage and repurpose it into edited, sped up videos like this one without having to sacrifice the clarity or the resolution of the video. So I just want to point that out and apologize that this one is a little bit grainy, but I'm hoping you'll be able to follow along well enough. And then as I talk you through some of the stories that I'm going to tell with this kit, I think that will also hopefully suffice for this month's story planning video. All right, so let's get into the actual product here that I've got on the table. So I did go ahead and go through a bunch of the cards first, or all of the cards first. In the upper left-hand corner, I have a pile of product that I am planning to use for a week of Project Life. And the product that I chose this time around was a lot of the cards and embellishments that were generally black and white. I had a card specifically that I wanted to make sure to put in with Project Life, and it's one that has 6 little sections to add story to. And then there were also a couple other cards there with those same tones. It's almost like a grayish type of color, and then black or a really, really dark gray. So I thought that those all looked really nice together and would be really great for telling stories in a particular week. Then next to that, there is a card that talks about having something to teach and something to learn, that each of us have this in us. And I thought that that would be a really great jumping off point for doing some kind of story for Jonah, things that I want to teach him or things that I hope that I teach him throughout his life, whether that's through intentionally teaching him or through providing the example for him. So, and in doing so, we can learn so much about our own lives. And that was kind of my thought process for that story. I also put in the teach plastic word there and the here to learn chipboard circle piece as well. And so that's kind of where I'm hanging out with that story. Next to that one, in the upper right-hand corner, you can see there's a card that says lessons learning. And then there's also a journaling card that has the composition notebook pattern to it. I really liked the way that those two went together, so I'm keeping that for now. And then I've also got a patterned card that just is like a wonky type of grid. If I'm remembering correct, I think it's kind of wonky. I don't think it's a perfect grid, or it could potentially be a perfect grid, but I thought that that all went together pretty nicely as well. Then under that, the next row, I have a pile where you can see the negative portion of my chipboard. And that I'm actually going to repurpose, and I'm going to use it to create a layout. We'll get into the rest of these here in a second. What I'm doing right now is, now that I have my cards and my embellishments sectioned off into stories, I am now deciding what size I want to tell these stories in. I like to work in a variety of sizes because it helps to keep things feeling fresh when I'm telling similar types of stories all in 1 month. Because I'm working with one specific theme, which this month is teach, and along with teach is learn, right? They kind of go hand in hand with each other. And because that's going to be the focal point of so many stories all in 1 month, it just helps me to stay invested in the stories and to stay excited about putting together those layouts when I have a variety of sizes and orientations to work with. So I am going to do some that are in like a 6x12. Some are going to be in a traveler's notebook size. Some will be 12x12. So just all different kinds of sizes. For some of them, I am going to go ahead and start designing them as I am figuring that out, because that also somewhat helps me to figure out scale of the different products and how it's going to fit on those sizes. For this one right here, I wanted to tell the story about homeschooling and what made homeschooling worth it. So there is a chipboard piece that says, teaching isn't easy, but it's worth it. And in the 2020, or I guess 2020 to 2021 school year, I homeschooled Isabella for kindergarten. And that was a decision that we made in the midst of the COVID pandemic. So I wanted to tell the story about how homeschooling was actually really, really hard, but why it was still worth it to us. So that's going to be that story. There's a card that has like 1, 2, 3. I thought it would be a good idea to cut those apart, layer them up with some of those plastic books, and use that as jumping off points for different sections of journaling. For this next one, I'm trying to figure out how I can use all of these pieces together to tell a story about lessons learned or lessons learning throughout the process of moving. So when I planned to do this story, it was back in August, and now I am voicing over this video in October after we have moved, because shortly after I planned all of these different stories, we got the go-ahead that we were going to be able to move earlier than we thought. So it was kind of a scramble to get out of the house and get into the new one. And let me tell you, we have been learning a lot of lessons about moving, some of them good, some of them neutral, and some of them not so good. So this will be a really cool story to go back and tell now that we have gone through the process, or at least we're kind of in the middle of the process right now. So my idea for this is to create a flip out or almost like a book where I can add different lessons learning on the different quote unquote pages. So I'm going to cut off the lessons learning section, add that on top of the composition notebook pattern so that it looks like a title piece on the outside of a notebook. And then you'll be able to flip the notebook, quote unquote, open and read the lessons learning inside. And I'm going to put that on top of a 6x12 photo of our new house. So that's my plan for that story. Really looking forward to that one. Okay, so next I am looking at this journaling card here that talks about education breeding confidence. So there's a bunch of different sentences like, it says education breeds confidence, confidence breeds hope, hope breeds something. Peace? Peace. Yes, there it is. So for this one, I thought that the journaling card gave me a really great starting place for telling the story about going to college. And I've told stories about my college experiences before, but I feel like all of our stories have layers to them, more and more and more layers, so we can revisit these same stories over and over again and find new things to say and new lessons that we have learned about them. So for this one, I wanted to talk about college and why going to college was worth it. I am in the millennial generation, so the generation where a lot of us went to college and a lot of us came out of college with immense amounts of debt. And that was not something that I was immune to. I definitely came out of college with a lot of debt, and I did not even end up going into the field that I studied. And so sometimes there are feelings of regret that come from all of that. Like, why did I go and spend so much time in that sort of, paying money to get an education for something that I didn't even end up doing. And so for this, I wanted to tell the story of why it was actually very much worth it. And I do believe that wholeheartedly, that it was totally worth it to go to college. And I would not take it back if I could. So there's that. I think that will be interesting to tell as well. For this one, I pulled together a bunch of different elements that talked about a specific teacher. So loved this teacher, things you taught me, and those types of sentiments. For this one, I want to tell a story about either one or two or possibly more teachers that I had throughout my course of education. And the impact that they left on me. So the reasons why I liked those teachers and what it is that they really had an effect on in terms of, my life and the trajectory of my life. So I have a couple of different things here. I'm taking this 4x6 journaling card. I'm actually going to cut it apart, which is something I do a lot so that I can create a larger space for journaling. I like the way that these asterisks from the Storytelling Basics collection match with the colors of this kit. So there's the black, there's the silver, and then there's the white. I'm going to use those asterisks as bullet points to talk about either one teacher and 6 different things about that teacher, or 2 teachers with 3 things about each of them, or 6 different teachers. I'm not 100% sure yet how I want to go about doing that, but I do know that I want to put about 6 different sections of journaling on there, put the title at the top, a piece at the bottom of the pattern just to tie it all in together, and then on the opposite side to have some pictures of the teacher or teachers, and then to use the circle embellishments there. One of them was a black fabric circle, and then one of them was a chipboard circle. And the fabric circles are just slightly bigger than the chipboard ones. So I'm actually planning to layer them one on top of each other so it gives the chipboard a black border around the outside, which I think will be a fun way to be able to use those both on one layout. For this next layout, I was inspired by 2 of the add-on pieces for this kit. One is the pleather circle. There is one that just has the word read in the middle of it. And then there is another phrase around the outside, which I can't remember what it says around the outside. So it says read, and then I have all of these different plastic books that I had ordered on the side. Now, my instinct, honestly, my instinct is to just use them all. But, you think twice about that sometimes and think like, well, gosh, should I hold on to some of these books? Like, what if I want to use them later? And you get the whole what if type of thought process going on. And then ultimately I decided, nope, I'm just going to use them all on this page. So what I am planning to do is to create a layout about my to be read list or my TBR list. I have a bunch of books that I have just waiting for me to crack open the spines and read them. So I thought it would be fun to compile a list of 10 to 12 different books, talk about why I want to read it, when I want to read it, and then have the middle of that layout, which I'm planning to do a 12 by 12, be the pleather circle with the books going across the middle, just as like a big focal point in the middle. This next one, I want to tell a story about the things that I have learned from my mom. So I am going to do a 9 by 12 layout, I think. Actually, nope, this is going to be a 12 by 12. So there'll be 2 sections that are each 6 by 12 on a 12 by 12. So on half of it, I'll do a picture of my mom. Then I'm going to take the tiny phrase stickers that you can see here and create a border strip that goes in between the photo and the journaling. And then for the journaling, we'll use the last little piece of that pattern and layer 3 of the chipboard circles at the top as my title piece. And then I can add my journaling underneath that, which will either be some kind of paragraph stream of consciousness type of journaling, or it might be bullet points with 10 different things or something like that. This next one is going to be about, I got to remember what this one is going to be. So here's something interesting as well. I ended up taking that journaling card that I originally put in with my Project Life. And that was kind of the card that inspired the color theme for Project Life that week. And I took it back out and decided I'm actually going to use it for a different story. So for that one, if I remember right, I'm going to talk about teaching scrapbooking classes. So the story or the sentiment on there is like, I never thought that I would be teaching this. And so that's going to be my story arc for that one, is being invited to teach on scrapbooking and just how mind-blowing that is, and at the same time, how cool and exciting that is. Next, I have another one of the pleather circles that says inspire in the middle. What I want to do with this one is tell the story about activism and how fighting or standing up for the things that we believe in can help to inspire others to do the same. So recently in our state, we have had a lot of turmoil over mask mandates. And for us, my husband and I are for masking, are having our kids wear masks in schools. We are for doing everything we can to keep them safe. And that to us seems like the best thing we can do to help keep them safe. So we have been working with some groups to help support those beliefs and support those mandates that are happening here in our state. And so I want to tell that story about going to these different events to be in support of these things that we feel very passionately about, and what that means to us, and how we hope that can inspire others to do the same for the things that they believe in as well. And that one I'm planning to do in a 3 by 8. I don't think I mentioned that. This next one is the layout I'm going to do for Jonah. So this one is going to be a letter to Jonah about the things I hope to teach him throughout his life, whether intentionally or through example. This was a story idea that came about in the story classroom from Allie Edwards. It's something that she mentioned, and I believe it's something that she actually did. Maybe there was a layout she actually made for one of her kids and wrote out the things that she hopes that she teaches her kids. And I thought that that was a brilliant use of this kit and such a wonderful story to have as part of your scrapbooking, memory keeping memoir type of stuff, right? So for this one, I am planning to do a full page of journaling in a letter form. I will add the teach plastic word up at the top with one of the puffy stickers that's a star. I'm also planning to do a black background with white text on top so that you'll actually be able to see the word teach. And then on the opposite side, I will do a full page photo and then add the quote card over there as well. And then this one here, I want to do a story inside of a traveler's notebook. And this one I'm going to do inside of, I believe, I'm trying to remember. Yes, this one's going to go inside of my pocket page notebook, which is a traveler's notebook that I get from a company in Australia called the Stamp Spot. And it has a plastic pocket in between each of the white pages, which is really fun because it allows me to do some interactive things inside of this notebook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a photo and then fussy cut out, or basically cut into strips, the quote there that says, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. In this one, I want to talk about just that. Like, what does it mean to educate from the heart? And just my belief that when we are invested in the people who we are teaching and invested in teaching from a place of compassion and kindness, that the lessons we're teaching have such a stronger hold on the people that we are, communicating with or teaching, I suppose. So that's going to be the story. I'm going to use a couple of those plastic labels in the middle as an interactive piece. Those will go inside of the pocket, and I'm planning to actually put photos inside of them as well. So that'll be a fun one to work with. And then the final side of that traveler's notebook spread, I will do some full page journaling. So this one here is going to go in a different traveler's notebook. So one that does not have a pocket in between, one that's just a plain old traveler's notebook. So for this one, I want to use the negative pieces from the chipboard. I'm going to add photos inside of them, maybe some sentiments inside of them. And then on the opposite side, I'll do some kind of pattern, put the journaling cards in there, create a flip up. And then I want to do some journaling about what I have learned about myself through the process of homeschooling. Now, we are no longer homeschooling. My daughter is now in public school. Jonah is about to start preschool. So this isn't something that's a part of our life anymore, but I still want to tell the story about, how going through that experience taught me a lot about myself. Last but not least, you can see here some of the product that I'm setting aside for Project Life. And then
All right,
that's going to be
friends,
it.
that completes my story planning for the Teach Story Kit. From this one story kit, I was able to pull out 12 different stories to tell in all different types of sizes and configurations, in addition to 1 week of Project Life. So my plan moving forward from here is to select 5 of these stories to tell over the course of the next 5 weeks. So today, and then the 4 additional weeks inside of the month of October, since there are 5 Fridays this month. You are going to see one of those projects, which I will put together today, and then you'll see one project on each Friday after that. For the remaining 7. For the remaining 7 stories that I have, those I will be putting together all the products, and I will likely put those together live with my patrons over on Patreon. And once I have all of the projects done, I will film a final video that shows you a grand reveal of all 12 stories in their completed form. So that is what you can expect from here on out. If you are interested in checking out the Patreon videos or what I have to offer on that platform, I do have a link down in my description box down below, so you can check that out there. If you have any questions about my story planning process, or just have anything that you would like to know about this, please let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, I would love a thumbs up down below, and make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already so you can see all of my future crafty videos. I am going to be back next week with some story projects, some project life, and of course more story kit crush projects. So hopefully I'll see you back here for those. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye, friends.